Hey, this is AJ for a TechBytes how-to video. In this video, we'll be discussing how you can put your branding on your video calls. So, let's get started. So the first thing we need to do for this method is download Open Broadcaster Studio, also known as OBS. You can do this by going to www.obsproject.com. Once on this site, you will see download links for Windows, which is compatible with Windows 8 and higher, macOS, which is compatible with 10.13 and higher, and also for Linux. Once this is downloaded, you can launch the installer directly from your browser or through your file explorer. Follow the process to install the software. Once installed, you will either be able to start it from the installer, or you can also open it from your Start menu or an icon on your desktop. When setting up the software for the first time, you'll be asked what you'll be primarily using it for. Streaming priority, however with a requirement for recording, primarily for recording and not for streaming, or that you'll be using it for the virtual camera. This helps the software set up some predefined settings for you. If you'll only be using this for branded video calls, you will only need to select the virtual camera option. I will be selecting the top option for streaming and recording, as after this video I will require it for other means and a future video about screen recording. Once you have made your selection, just click Next. You'll be asked to define your video settings. I would advise leaving these as default. However, you can increase or decrease your resolution, depending on what is available, and you can also change the frames per second. If you've followed the same process as myself, you'll be asked to set up a streaming provider. I'll not be setting up this currently. I will be linking this to our YouTube channel at a later date for potential live videos. However, you can also choose from Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and more. So I'll cancel from this screen for now. Once you've completed this setup process, you will then be able to expand this window into a full screen. At the right of this screen, you'll see controls for what you may need to use OBS for, such as starting streaming through the services we mentioned previously, starting recording, whatever you define within OBS, starting the virtual camera, which we'll be needing later, studio mode, settings for the software, and also the option to exit the software entirely. Inside the settings, you'll see a few different options, starting with your general settings. Stream settings, which will guide you through the same process as we saw in the setup. Output and recording settings. The only thing I will be changing here is the recording quality to either lossless or indistinguishable quality to get the most out of my video recordings. For this example, I will be choosing the indistinguishable and MP4 format for any videos that are recorded. You can also see your audio settings, video settings. You can set up hotkeys for different controls within the software, and also many advanced options. Once you've made any changes, you just need to apply them and exit back to the main screen. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see options for scenes, where you can create multiple views, and also in the same bar, you'll see scene transitions for how you would transition between those scenes. Before creating your view for the first time, I would advise creating a new scene. For this example, I will call this Teams Scene 1. Next, we will need to add sources to our canvas. At this time, the canvas is the large black rectangle on the screen. To add things to this, I just need to click on the plus button under the sources section. You'll see options for window capture, video capture devices such as webcams, VLC video source, text, scene, media source, image and image slideshow, game capture, display capture, color source, browser, as well as audio input or output capture. For what we'll be doing in this video, we will only need a few of these options. However, as you can see, there are plenty of things you can choose from. The first thing I want to be able to do is add a bar to house some information. For this, I will choose color source. I'll name the layer blue, as I want it to be a blue bar. On this next screen, I can choose a color by clicking on select color. You can choose from a list of predefined colors, alter their values, or input a color hex code. If you have any branding guidelines, you may want to use your brand primary color here. Once selected, you can click OK or Enter. I'll move this window to one side for the next step, so we can define the size of this bar. I want the bar to run for the full width of the screen, so I'll leave the width as it is. However, I will alter the height. Next, I can move this to a place where I want it to be on the screen. I also want to be able to add a smaller white line under the blue bar, so I'll go through the same process for this. However, I don't want to have to try and make it really small and then line it up with the blue bar. So instead, I'll make it the same size and move it down so it's just below the first. And then I can change the layer order how these are shown on screen just by altering the order of the items in the sources panel. Anything towards the top of this list is a higher layer. I can then adjust the position of the lower or higher layers until I am happy with them. The next thing I want to be able to do is add the company logo to the bar. So I'll add an image source, name it as logo. On the next screen I can click to browse my computer for the logo I need. I already have my logo folder open ready so that I don't have to search my computer. On this screen you will also see the image file format which are supported. Just select the image you wish to use and click open. Depending on the size of your image, you may need to resize it on your screen. As you can see here, my logo is much too large. You can click and drag the corners to resize this. I'll fast forward this bit until it's a bit more reasonable in size. Now that it's easier to see my logo, I will move it to a position on my bar that I have created, and resize it and move it to a position which I am happy with. Next, I want to add my name to this bar next to the logo. So I'll add a text source and call it name. I can also select whichever font I like. Again, you may have some brand guidelines that you may have to adhere by. I will choose a font which we use for many of our marketing materials. Once you've selected this, you can click OK. On the main text screen, you can also select other options, including the colour you would like the text to be. In the box provided, you can add your name, before then clicking OK again. I can then move and resize this to the bar which I have created until I'm happy with it. If at any time you want to alter any of this information, you can simply right-click on the source that you have named and click Properties to edit it further. The next thing I want to do is create an information bar with my contact details on. So I'll create a new text source and call it Contact. Again, I can customize the text to suit my needs. I'm going to copy and paste this a few times. I'll show you why shortly. This time I'll choose the text to be black. As you can see here, the text is far too big. So I'll go back into the properties and edit the font size until it fits the white bar I have created. Next, I want to make this text scroll, which is the reason I copied and pasted it a few times earlier, so that the text is actually wider than the bar. I'll right-click on the source for this text and add a filter. On the filters screen, I can add one of a selection of filters. The one we require here is scroll. I can then move this scroll bar to a speed which I feel is best for viewing and is not too fast. Now that I'm happy with the information which is shown here, I'm going to group these into a single content group. I just need to select all of the layers, right-click and select Group Selected Layers, and then give it a name. I can then do this process for any other elements which I want to create. I want to add a box at the side which will show some thumbnails of some recent videos. So let's fast forward through that process now. And there we go. I've made some other minor changes along the way, but now I'm ready to add my camera. For this, I just need to add a new video capture device in the source panel. I can name it what I want. I've chosen my camera model number, and then I just need to select my camera from a list. This will then come in as the top layer, so I'll need to move it under my bars which I have created. Once I've done that, I can resize it until I'm happy with the size of it on the screen. The last thing we need to do before we use this in video conferencing software such as Microsoft Teams is to start the virtual camera, which can be done from the option on the right side. If you already have software such as Microsoft Teams open, you will have to completely close it before activating the virtual camera, as it will not pick it up if you've already got the software open when you start it. In Microsoft Teams, you will have to go to your settings to display the virtual camera. This is the 3 dots at the top of your screen next to your account icon. Go to the devices in the settings menu, scroll down to your camera, and in the drop-down menu, select OBS Virtual Camera. Then, when you are in a meeting or starting a meeting, you will see your new branded graphics. Just remember that whatever you see here will be reversed, and that the people you are meeting with will see everything the correct way round. You can also create multiple scenes, so that you can show other information, such as other screens if you don't want to use the software's video screen sharing settings. Just remember that if you do use this method to brand your videos, you cannot use Microsoft Teams or Zoom's built-in background options. However, if you do have a green screen, OBS will allow you to remove or alter your background with its chroma filter for the camera. And that is how you can brand your video calls. Hopefully you've found the information in this video useful. If you have, please give the video a thumbs up. We have another video coming soon about how to build the ultimate video call experience, so keep an eye out for that one. If you've liked the information, please share this with your friends, family or colleagues. And also hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified about future videos. Until then though, see you soon.